AITA for throwing a cup of cold water on my naked husband? Do you ever turn on the faucet, expecting a gentle stream from the spout, only to get blasted in the face by freezing cold water from the shower head? That's my daily wake-up call, courtesy of my husband. And no, it's not about being picky or expecting the bathroom to be arranged just so. What I want, what I really expect, is for things to be left the way they were found. That's it. When he walks into the bathroom, the diverter, you know, that little thing that switches water from the spout to the shower head, is down. That's how I leave it, so the next person doesn't get a cold surprise. It's a small act of consideration, but after his shower he never puts it back, and every time I lean in to start the water, I pay the price for that tiny decision. This isn't just about water and metal fixtures. It's about a pattern, a mindset. I don't expect him to read my mind or tailor the world to my preferences. What I hope for is something much simpler, that he sees the state something was in before he used it and he puts it back that way. Whether it's the shower, the kitchen, or anything else in our shared space, it's the same story. He walks in, uses it, and walks away without looking back. To him, it might seem like a small detail, but to me, it's a sign of whether he notices, whether he cares, whether he's thinking of the next person, of me. It's not about being controlling or demanding. It's about reciprocity, about living with someone, not just near them. And it's hard not to feel dismissed when the little things keep getting overlooked, day after day. And that pattern, it doesn't stop at the shower. That almost done mindset shows up everywhere. He'll wash the dishes, but leave the greasy pan to soak. He'll take the trash out, but not replace the bag. He'll do the laundry, but the clean clothes sit unfolded in the basket for days. It's like he stops at 80 or 90%, and the last 10 or 20 is just left for me to finish. At first, I told myself it wasn't a big deal. I'd step in, do the rest, keep things moving. But over time, that small extra effort started to feel like a weight, because when it happens over and over again, it stops feeling like partnership. It starts to feel like cleanup duty, like I'm the one responsible for tying up the loose ends of everything. What makes it worse is that I don't think he even realizes he's doing it. It's not some grand strategy to make me do more. He's not lazy or inconsiderate at his core. But intention doesn't always equal impact. And the impact is that I end up carrying the invisible labor, the mental checklist, the follow-through. It's draining. It makes me feel like I'm the only one with my eye on the finish line. I've tried to talk to him about it, gently at first, then more directly. He nods, he listens, he agrees. But the behavior doesn't change. And that's the hardest part. It makes me question, is this really about the dishes and the trash? Or is it about respect? Is it about how much value he places on my time, my energy, my need for things to be truly done, not just almost? When I leave the bathroom, I leave it in a state where the next person, him, can use it without getting a surprise. But when he leaves it, I'm the one who pays for that last 10%. And that's the difference. That's what makes it sting. It's not just about water or towels or chores. It's about the ongoing feeling that my effort is expected while his is optional. Living with someone means noticing those little things. It means asking yourself, am I leaving this space better or at least as good as I found it? That's not just courtesy, that's partnership. That's respect. And when one person consistently drops the baton before the finish line, the other is left running double just to keep things balanced. The thing is, if I actually followed the advice people keep giving me, just leave it the way you found it, our home would be a disaster. Seriously. If I walked away from everything exactly how he left it, I'd be living in a constant state of chaos. And not only that, I'd be doing twice the work, first cleaning up so I can function, then deliberately undoing that progress to leave it messy, just to prove some kind of point. That's not sustainable. That's not healthy. Let me give you a real example. Say the kitchen counters are cluttered with crumbs, dishes, unopened mail, and half-used condiments. If I want to cook dinner, I can't just work around it. I have to clean, wipe, clear, reorganize, just to start. So I do that. I reset the space. I make it workable, livable. But if I truly left it as I found it, that means after dinner, I'd pile everything back, scatter some crumbs, and walk away. That's ridiculous, right? But that's the logic people are throwing at me when they ask, well, if he leaves the shower on, why don't you leave it on too? Because I'm not trying to match bad habits out of spite. I'm trying to build a home that feels functional, comfortable, and respectful. I'm not interested in playing games. I just want mutual consideration. And if I have to choose between being petty and being the one who finishes the job every time, I'll choose the latter. But it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It's frustrating because cleaning or tidying or putting things back isn't about being obsessive. It's about feeling like I have a say in the space I live in. When things are left messy or incomplete, it doesn't just create a visual mess. It creates mental noise. It makes me feel like I'm constantly chasing order in a place that should be my calm. And yes, I've heard it all. Let it go. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's just a shower head. But the shower head is symbolic. It's one tiny lever that says so much about how we move through shared space. It's a test of whether someone takes a moment to consider the person who comes next. It takes less than 2 seconds to pull the diverter back down after your shower. 2 seconds. But it tells me everything about whether you're thinking of me too. So no, I won't start mimicking inconsideration just to make a point. That's not who I am. I can't bring myself to unmake a bed I've already made or reclutter a space I've cleared. I won't lower my standards to meet someone else's neglect. But I will speak up about it. Because living with someone means not making your partner choose between being petty or being exhausted. It means meeting each other in the middle, not stopping just short and assuming they'll pick up the rest. So let's talk about the shower, since that's where this whole thing tends to come up, literally and metaphorically. People keep asking me, why are you getting in before the water's warm? And I get it, that might seem like the root of the problem, but the issue isn't about temperature. It's about expectation. It's about what I should be able to expect in my own home, and what happens when that basic courtesy isn't there. Here's what actually happens. I lean into the tub to turn on the faucet, not to get in, not to start showering, just to turn on the water so it can warm up. At that point, I'm expecting the water to come out of the tub spout, because that's how I leave it every time I'm done using it. But instead, I get blasted in the face with a spray of cold water from the shower head. Why? Because he didn't switch it back after his shower. It's not about the cold water, though, yeah, that sucks. It's about the fact that I'm surprised. That I've been put in a position where I have to brace myself every time I turn on the tap. That something so basic, so avoidable, is now a hazard in my own space because of someone else's inattention. It's about the lack of follow-through, the lack of awareness. It's about being jolted out of comfort by someone who was supposed to share it with me. And look, it takes 2 seconds to pull the diverter knob back down. That's not asking for much. That's not a chore. That's not a grand act of love or sacrifice. That's just the minimum level of awareness required to think, hey, someone else might be using this after me. Let me reset it. But for some reason, it never crosses his mind. And the responsibility to deal with the consequences, like most of the housework, falls on me. What really gets me is the way people try to downplay it. It's just water. It's just a little thing. But small things add up. 1,000 little oversights become one big feeling. That I'm not being considered. That I'm not being thought of. That I'm the only one doing the mental work of making this place livable. That the burden of anticipation, of preparation, of avoiding messes and shocks and spills, it's all on me. The shower is just the symbol. A tiny, frustrating, recurring reminder that I'm not being met halfway. That he expects the house to function smoothly, but doesn't see the invisible steps that make that happen. That he walks through our shared life, unaware of what it costs me to keep things running. And that's why it matters. That's why I talk about it, write about it, bring it up again and again. Because I shouldn't have to get soaked to prove a point. I shouldn't have to flinch every time I turn a knob. I just want a partner who notices, who cares, who resets the damn shower. At the end of the day, all of this comes down to one thing: respect. Not grand gestures, not big romantic declarations, just everyday, quiet respect. The kind you show in how you leave a room, in whether you bother to put something back where you found it, in whether you take 2 seconds to consider the person coming after you. That's what I'm really asking for. It might sound silly to some people, getting worked up over a shower diverter or a forgotten trash bag, but these aren't isolated incidents. They're patterns, and patterns tell stories. The story I'm hearing over and over again is that my time, my comfort, and my effort are less important, that I'll always be the one to notice, to clean up, to reset, and worse, that it's just expected of me. But that expectation didn't appear out of nowhere. It grew, piece by piece, from all the little things left undone, from all the half-finished tasks and shrugged-off reminders, from all the oops, I forgot moments that only seem to happen when it's my comfort on the line. And the longer it goes on, the heavier it feels, like I'm being asked to carry not just the household responsibilities, but also the emotional weight of caring about them alone. When you live with someone, your actions or inactions send messages, whether you mean to or not. Leaving things undone says, someone else will take care of it. Doing just enough and stopping short says, my job is done, yours begins. And never thinking to ask, is this ready for the next person? Says, I don't need to think about anyone else. That's not partnership. That's passing the buck. I'm not perfect either. I have my own blind spots and bad habits, but I try. I try to notice, to make things easier for both of us, not just myself. I try to leave the space a little better than I found it, even if it's just wiping the counter or refolding a towel. Not because I'm a neat freak, not because I want gold stars, but because I see the person who shares this space with me, and I want them to feel that. That's what I want in return. To be seen. To have someone who doesn't just walk past the crumbs, or ignore the mess, or leave the showerhead blasting cold water down. Someone who gets that living together isn't just about existing in the same place. It's about caring enough to make that place better for both of us. Respect shows up in the smallest of things. in whether you choose to finish the job or leave it for someone else, in whether you consider the next person or assume they'll deal with it, in whether you take 2 seconds to pull the diverter down or leave your partner dripping wet and annoyed before her morning coffee. So no, I'm not overreacting. I'm asking for respect in its most practical, everyday form. I'm asking not to be an afterthought in my own home. And honestly, I don't think that's too much to ask.